Miguelito LaMorté, and welcome to Persona, the show for and about inspired people. Today we're here in the heart of Lake Worth, Florida, where our guest is Lake Worth City Commissioner Andy Amoroso. Andy, thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No problem. As a Lake Worth resident, I am just curious about your history in Lake Worth. What is...
Well, I'm a native Floridian. I was born and raised in Broward, but grew up here in Lake Worth. And I own Palm Beach County's first openly gay gift store and juice bar. And I've been very involved in the community. I used to sit on the CRA board, which is our Community Redevelopment Board. So for years, we helped to redevelop the city of Lake Worth prior to me becoming an elected. We applied for a stimulus package from the Obama administration and got $23 million grant. So we spent the next 2 years buying up abandoned and foreclosed homes, getting them back on the tax rolls with owner occupancy. And then the new Publix, the Cultural Council, they were all part of the CRA renovations when I sat on that board. And then I ran for city politics, really just to keep the city moving forward, to keep my doors open. And I won 6 years ago. And it's been a great thing ever since, helping to build up the city.
Wow. I mean, that's definitely exciting stuff. How does one go about becoming city commissioner? I mean, if you were to be giving advice to somebody who wanted to become a city commissioner, how would you do that?
Well, you don't necessarily have to be city commissioner to make things happen, but if you want to get involved, I encourage everyone to get involved and know what's going on in their city. You as a resident, for you to get involved, to attend meetings, and to do what you feel comfortable doing. For years, people wanted me to run for mayor or commissioner, and it was the right time. It was the right time to step up and get involved. But we do such great things here in the city of Lake Worth. We have neighborhood cleanups. We have 16 aggressive working neighborhood associations. So any resident, anyone that wants to be part of the city of Lake Worth in any way can get involved, from neighborhood cleanups to waterway cleanups we do a lot with the kids in the city of Lake Worth, the next generation here in Lake Worth.
Sure.
The schools, the high schools are always looking for volunteers.
Right. Speaking in terms of Lake Worth, it seems to be the last affordable place to reside on the Treasure Coast. I mean, do you think it's a worthwhile endeavor to kind of preserve that kind of bohemianness of it, or is a little bit of exploitation good for the residents now as everybody's getting older and more settled down, or what do you think on that?
Well, that's one of my biggest challenges, to keep the small town feel, the bohemian feel, the uniqueness, the funkiness of Lake Worth, but have enough smart growth to pay our bills. 6 years ago when I got elected, we had no policing, no code, no development at all, low taxes. And if you know anything about municipalities, cities can't pay their bills if they're not bringing in the taxes. So the last 6 years, we've rewritten ordinances. We've had a great team with our mayor, and we're just moving the city forward in a smart growth way. We're getting a lot of gay and lesbian people moving from Key West, Fort Lauderdale. They're selling their properties there and retiring here in Lake Worth. We're one of the last known beautiful beach properties here in towns.
Right. A big talking point about that being a beach town has been that Gulfstream Hotel. What is the status of that debacle?
The Gulfstream Hotel has been one of our biggest challenges. It's been closed for well into probably 15 years now. When it was open, it was a huge success. Great restaurant. We did Sunday tea dance by the pool. Great burgers.
Sorry, I missed that.
Absolutely, it was a great time in Lake Worth. But it's been bought. Again, we can't make anyone do anything with it, but it was bought a few years ago, and there were some challenges with lawsuits pending. The commissioner that I beat out 6 years ago has an ongoing lawsuit against it, and what it is the historic structure, they're looking to build a second piece next to it, and she's arguing that they can't go up as high as they legally can. We're hoping this is the end of March now. We're hoping that by the beginning of April, that lawsuit will be done. They are moving forward. This last week, they pulled some destruction permits to, there's a couple little derelict buildings on the side of that building that they want to get rid of. And it's a great historic piece of the city. And they'll get some historic credits, tax credits, and we really need a hotel. We're one of the last little towns with no hotel in our city.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, if that goes, I mean, the business would boom. I mean, all of a sudden, like, all these, people that, mom and pop shops on the avenue that are maybe struggling to pay their rent are all of a sudden going to be like, have a lot more traffic, at least foot traffic.
Absolutely. When it was open, the flight attendants stayed there, so that was an ongoing, they would come down, they'd eat in our restaurants, shop in our shops. And right now, whenever we have large events like Street Painting Festival, reggae's getting ready to come up, this weekend's Gay Pride, anyone coming for these events have to stay outside of the city limits.
One thing that is kind of a funny thing, when I first moved here nearly 5 years ago, but I was in a restaurant, and on the TV was my apartment in an episode of Cops. So my question here was, nearly 7 years ago, Lake Worth was a regular credit on national TV with shows like Cops, America's Most Wanted, etc. But now it's been transformed. What role have you had as city commissioner in, as you mentioned before, in that transformation, though, of the kind of rehab facilities and people kind of spilling onto the streets after running away from a rehab facility, and that's a tricky thing to police and to
absolutely. Years ago, growing up here, there were issues with gangs. We don't necessarily have that issue anymore. But as we move out of the pill mill era, the gang era, the next era is sober home and halfway houses. I sit currently on State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg's Sober Home Task Force. I sit on the Heroin Task Force. We're also dealing with it on a national level with our Representative Lois Frankel. And there's no easy fix. Sober homes and halfway houses kind of snuck up on everyone. It's not unique to the city of Lake Worth. And I call it the octopus, everything that comes from having a bad player. There are great sober homes and halfway houses out there, but unfortunately there's a lot of bad players, there's a lot of money involved.
Sure.
And people are sending their children to South Florida, come to sunny South Florida for rehab, and we're sending them back in body bags. And that's just not acceptable to me. And so by getting involved on a national level, we have new legislation going to Tallahassee that hope will regulate them. And we're already seeing, we're working with the FBI, we've already had some busts in the city of Lake Worth. We've had people already closing their doors because they see that we're getting close. And the octopus lends itself to the outfall from sober home, which is prostitution, homelessness, people on the street that can't get help, can't make it back to the city they may have come from,
burglaries and whatnot,
and crimes of opportunity. So, and like I said, it's not unique to the city of Lake Worth. It's in other municipalities around Palm Beach County. So we're all addressing it. 2 years ago, I sit on the board for the National League of Cities Gay and Lesbian Advocacy Group, and also on their Policy and Advocacy Board. And 2 years ago, on a national level, people weren't even talking about it because it's NIMBY, not in my backyard, and it wasn't affecting them across other United States cities. And they're talking about it now. I was just in Washington last week, and everybody has been affected, whether it's in their backyard or they've sent friends and family to Florida and it didn't quite work out right. So now everybody's talking about it.
Right. No, it's certainly a big talking point. Another thing I wanted to touch on was Phipps Ocean Park. The beach there has, been extended, which is no mild undertaking. And even though it's not technically part of Lake Worth, it is kind of could be a massive attraction for and in effect, many things from real estate to the type of people and everything and lifestyle and everything that happens in Lake Worth. What is the secret behind that, or what did they do? They extended the beach out?
Up and down the coastal cities. Lake Worth owns its own beach. We have Lake Worth Beach. Just north of that is the piece of property that you're referring to.
Right.
But beach nourishment is a big concern in Palm Beach County, and it really doesn't affect Lake Worth Beach because it's funny how when Palm Beach, and this is North Palm Beach, when Palm Beach puts sand on their beach, it ends up on Lake Worth Beach because of the current.
Right.
But this is another issue that's being talked on in Tallahassee and from Riviera all the way down to South Palm. And it's a great thing, but again, Mother Nature, it's something that needs to be maintained. I personally think that some of the coastal communities need to have that conversation about putting it in their maintenance plan. It can't only be a Palm Beach County issue. It also has to be, a maintenance issue for the residents that live along the coastal communities.
And it has to be an astronomical expense, right?
Absolutely.
Just the type of machinery I've seen moving the sand through the boring holes in the ocean and stuff.
Absolutely,
that's crazy.
But there's a need on South Palm. The mayor of South Palm, after the last little hurricane scare, she said, "Oh my God, we have a beach back," and then 3 days later the beach was gone. So it comes and goes that quickly. Some of the work that's being done is putting levees in, rocks in, different things. Palm Beach County voters just voted on a penny sales tax, which will allow the coastal communities to do some of that beach nourishment with their monies.
That's good. That's a great idea. For them. Rather than just hitting them with solid property taxes, hit them with a penny tax.
The penny sales tax will allow cities to work on infrastructure, and it has to be a 5-year hard cost. So they won't be able to spend it on sand, but they'll be able to use it on the rocks, the levees, some of the hard costs, because it has to be something that is hard that will sustain at least 5 years.
Do you see Lake Worth engulfed in big business, like the Cheesecake Factories or the big chain restaurants, or the bigger business, the upper echelon of family entertainment and stuff downtown? Do you think it'll ever come to be like the new Del Rey or something in the next 10 or 15 years?
I don't think so, and let me tell you why. When we struggled to get the new Publix in town, when you look at Lake Worth, when you live in Lake Worth, you see the fabulous things that is Lake Worth. But when you are an investor sitting in New York and other cities looking at Lake Worth, we don't look good on paper. If you're here walking around, so I always invite people to Lake Worth. Let me show you around. Let me tell you what's exciting about Lake Worth. We sit at the base of one of the richest cities in the world, which is Palm Beach. And once you're here, it looks good. But when you're an investor looking in on Lake Worth, we don't necessarily look good on paper. So the people that are coming, like we have a new Starbucks drive-through that's coming on Dixie Highway. They're going to keep the one downtown because it's just so busy. But for 2 years, prior to Starbucks coming, we reached out to Starbucks and said, look at downtown Lake Worth. And they're like, we don't even want to look here. And then, 2 years after that, they came. So we will get investment, and we're trying. Dixie Corridor is our next work-live space, and we'd love to have a Panera Breads. We'd love to have some of the other things. And in a perfect world,
boutique chain.
Absolutely.
Kind of stuff,
we need a little chain. The chains can afford to advertise for the small businesses. We need a better mix to keep our small businesses open. Because the small businesses can't necessarily afford to advertise, chains can. So, Starbucks being downtown brings people to my shop and the downtown, and hopefully they find the unique shops and my juice bar and things like that. So, I don't think we're ever going to be a Del Rey, but we do need some smart growth.
Exactly. No, that's well put. So my final question for you is, what is your favorite corner in Lake Worth?
My favorite corner in Lake Worth? Well, of course, it's my corner, where Studio 205 is and Java Juice Bar. I've been there for 23 years. It's in the heart of the downtown. And But you know, my second favorite would probably be City Hall, where I spend the rest of my days. But you know, the city in a whole is great. You know, I tell the story when I was young. I went to Lake Worth Junior High, and I would walk through the blighted area, which was our west side, to come and wash dishes at Junior's Restaurant, which is now Sayeto's restaurant behind us.
Right.
So that was my first job. I would come down, wash dishes, and then I would leave there and go bag at Publix. I was a bag boy. And I walked through the blighted area. Now, years later, that blighted area is our new Artist Work Live Spaces, our art colony. And, you know, I helped to create that through the CRA. And I'm still working on it as an elected. And I tell people that, you know, it costs me a lot of money to sit in this seat and a lot of time away from my business. But if I didn't think we were moving forward, I'd step aside and let somebody else try to do it. But we're doing great things here in Lake Worth, and we're moving the city forward. And, you know, it's a great place to be.
Awesome, awesome. I think so. Everybody, if you haven't been to Lake Worth, Florida, by all means, come down and stop and say hello to Andy at his juice bar and his cool little shop on Lake Avenue. So I'm Miguelito LaMorté. You can check us out, Persona, Twitter, Miguelito Mundo, and Persona YouTube channel. If you feel like you like what you see, give us a little thumbs up or a subscription. All right? Thank you.